Welcome to the Patreon NHL Ice Guys. It's Thursday, March 14th. I'm Ian Cameron, joined by Andrew McGinnis, Jimmy Murphy, Alex B. Smith will be along momentarily. It's the Thursday card. Time to break it all down. Another massive slate as usual. Should have everybody in the house today, and that's always a great show when that's the case. Andrew McGinnis, how are you today?
We're doing good. We're talking off air. It's a pretty busy day for all of us, it seems, but it's always a good thing on a Thursday. It's a packed card. Looking forward to some great hockey tonight, and it's good to see all you guys. So, Ian, how are you?
Very good. Cashed another Chicago over last night, so of course I'm good after that. So, Jimmy Murphy, how are you?
I like that, man. I love the Blackhawks. I know I wasn't on with you guys yesterday, but did one of you take the Blackhawks yesterday? I think
I almost did, and I did.
I wanted to take them plus 1.5, and then I ended up being a dumbass and taking the under. And then Ian's probably just laughing at me now.
Yeah, no, I was all over.
Yeah, that's all right.
Line, man. They had a good record against Toronto, and so
yeah,
the way they're playing Toronto, like we said, guys, we mentioned it I think last time. Toronto, there's something off with them right now, and they're a team I'd stay far away from right now until they figure things out. Obviously, they got a depleted defense, but until they figure out and get their stuff together into playoff mode, I would stay far away from them. But things are good here, guys. This is my my last thing to do before I'm on vacation for St. Patty's weekend. So
awesome, man. Good for you.
That's right. And but remember, Sunday we are having a show, so we're gonna have beer on the show.
Try and call in. We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. So
United shirt on here for us, so we're ready to go.
We're ready. We're ready for a fun weekend. Of course, conference tournament selection Sunday on this weekend coming up in the college basketball. I mean, it is absolutely a crazy time of year. NHL coming down the stretch. Yeah, when it comes to the Leafs, we talk about their struggles. Everybody's panicking with this team right now a little bit in this market. But we do have to remember the defense has not been good lately, but they are without Dermott and Gardner. Let's see how they play with those guys back. If they're still struggling like this, then you can panic a little bit. But yeah, once you get Ozhiganov and Marincin out of there, those are two guys that simply don't look like NHL defensemen on a nightly basis. That's where their struggles have really been when those guys are on the ice. See what happens when Dermott and Gardner are back, and then we'll see if the Leafs improve defensively. But obviously going through some issues, and Chicago exposing them a little bit last night. All right, let's get into today's card. Busy one. Let's see. We've got 10 games on the card, starting with Pittsburgh, Buffalo. This is going to be short and sweet for me on this one. Pittsburgh minus 170, total 6.5, shaded to the under. Give me Pittsburgh in regulation here, official play. We talked about it. Buffalo is a complete and utter disaster right now. A total fade without Jack Eichel as well. Still serving a suspension. I believe this is his last game of that suspension tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Cannot score goals without him. And we saw that the other night getting shut out by the Dallas Stars, a very popular pick in that game among the Ice Guys, Dallas in that hockey game. And I'm going to just fade Buffalo again. Very simple. Pittsburgh playing well. Nice win for them against Washington. Come from behind win against the Red Hot Capitals. Maybe a little letdown. Okay. Yes, Casey DeSmith is in net tonight, not Matt Murray. Another mini little concern there. But and I know Casey DeSmith struggled, and I talked about that the last time we thought he might start, which he ended up not starting in that game. But if he's going to shut down anybody, it's this Buffalo team. We told you without Eichel, he was carrying this team offensively. They've had trouble scoring without him. It was proven in their last game. I've got no hesitation here, Pittsburgh reg line, to go ahead and make that an official play. I think they can take care of business. Mild concern with the look-ahead spot, but I think they can get the job done. Here's Alex B. Smith. Look at that. Great timing, because we're just talking about the first game on the card. He's having a stressful day, so just take it easy on him today. Let's try to be patient with the man. He's been going through some turmoil in terms of technological turmoil today for our friend Alex B. Smith. Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Alex, our first game on the card. You got anything opinion-wise on it?
I mean, Pittsburgh's been dominating Buffalo. They've won 14 of the last 17 meetings. And Buffalo is just one of those teams, I don't really see. You'd think you would be, amped up to play one of the better teams in the league this time of year, but I don't know if that's really Buffalo's MO right now. And of course, no Jack Eichel. He comes back in the next game. I would look at Pittsburgh. Even regulation's not too crazy of a price, minus $1.20. Yeah, so I go with Pens in regulation. I'll make that official.
All right, Pens and reg for Alex as well. Andrew McGinnis, Pens and Sabres.
Let's hope it's a good thing, boys. We're all on the same page here, I think. I mean, Buffalo had 2 wins in their last 10 games. You really don't know how important a player is and how much dominant they are to their offense until you see them go to the lineup for even just 2 or 3 games. And that's really what we've seen right now with Jack Eichel being out, how really, he controls the offense and he's always out there making something happen. And without them, they seem a little bit lost. Not just that, but defensively, guys, I've talked about all year long how offensive wise, these defensemen can jump into the rush and, they're so active that way. But the way that they give up these odd man rushes can't happen against a Pittsburgh team right now that's absolutely turning it on. Like you said, Ian, that come from behind win against Washington, that great rivalry matchup against Washington. Sidney Crosby catching fire right now. Everyone's kind of, playing their role. We saw Malkin have a great game. Gensel stepping things up big time. And we're getting a pretty decent price here in regulation. So I'll make that official as well.
All right, looks like a popular pick. Dallas was a popular pick the other night against Buffalo, so that's not necessarily a bad thing if the results translate the same way they did that night. Jimmy, anything here, Pitt Buff?
You're all on the Pens regulation. Well, you know what? I'm going to be unlike Chris Berman this time, and I'm going to go with you. Make it a clean sweep. Give me the Pens regulation.
There you go. I know. I was thinking, are you going to go with Buffalo? Wow, that's ballsy. Hey, you got some units to play with, unlike the rest of us schmucks right now, Jimmy. You're plus what, 8 units?
Yeah,
you've done a great job so far.
On Buffalo, trust me.
Yeah, exactly.
Even not the city.
No. All right. So Pittsburgh regulation. Is it puck line or reg for you with this?
Reg.
Reg, okay, just going with the regulation to win by a goal, okay, or in 60 minutes, I should say. So Pittsburgh regulation, clean sweep, all 4 of us on the Penguins in regulation as official plays. Next up, we've got Washington, Philadelphia. We'll try to keep a brisk pace. Washington minus 120 to minus 130, road favorite, total 6.5, shaded to the over in this game. And I'm just going to, we just saw these teams play recently. It was a wide open game. It was 5-3. Both teams are pretty good offensively right now. Going to keep it simple. This is one of, I believe, 3 games I like over the total on this card. This is the first one, Washington, Philly. That's the way we're going to go here with the over 6.5, minus 135. We'll make that an official play. Again, Capital scoring. Power play has been good. The Philadelphia Flyers, surprisingly, have been pretty good offensively, and pretty good offensively the other night against the Ottawa Senators as well, even though Jake Voracek, he's another guy like Eichel just a minute ago we talked about, serving a suspension right now, won't be in. But Flyers, again, have shown some offensive depth in recent games, should have the ability still to find the back of the net. Again, Caps and Flyers just recently a 5-3 game when they played in Washington. Now they're back in Philly. So I'm on the over, nothing on the side, but Philadelphia, don't tell them they can't make the playoffs, guys. They're playing like it. Really a big effort nightly from this team. I'm a little worried about backing Philly here, though. You got Washington off the big rivalry loss the other night against Pittsburgh, had the lead, couldn't hang on to it, got into penalty trouble, and the penalty kill let them down as Pittsburgh's power play got them back into that game, gave them the lead, and they were able to hang on for the win from there. So Washington off the loss. But again, a Washington team that's also had the win streak, had the first loss to snap that good win streak. And sometimes you see another loss when a win streak comes to an end. So very conflicting thought processes for me in terms of the side. So I'm passing on the side, but I am on the over in this game, Capitals and the Flyers. Alex B. Smith, you got anything here on this game in Philly tonight?
Yeah, it's just a lean with me for Capitals money line. I like to take them. I think it's a cheap price, good team playing well. But like I said, this Philly team, we keep trying to write them off, and they're still hanging around in this wild card race. So being at home where they've won 11 of the last 15, there's no way I can try and run against that trade. So I'm just a lean with Capitals and money line.
All right, lean with the Caps money line for Alex, but nothing official. Andrew, anything on this Capitals Flyers game?
I would lean towards the over in this one, just simply because Philadelphia seems to be that team that's just not giving up every single game. They're showing an effort, and it's like you mentioned, they're a team that, hey, don't tell them they're not having a playoff run or contention right now, because they're doing it. They're scoring, and certain guys just keep stepping up each game for them. Washington, as we know, coming off that disappointing loss against Pittsburgh, they had a great start to that game, though. I thought they were playing good defensive hockey, and all of a sudden, that's what I love about hockey, guys. Doesn't matter what the score is; it could be 2 or 3-0. One team gains some quick momentum in 2-3 minutes, and all of a sudden the tides turn real quick. And Pittsburgh had all the momentum. So I think Washington is just that dominant force offensively. They could run the score up as well. It does worry me a little 6.5. If it was 6, guys, I'd be all over it. But I would lean to the over. No official play.
I will say this: this is an official play for me. This is the one I'm least confident on with the 3 overs I'm on tonight. This one, there's 2 more I've got later on in the card that I feel a little bit better about. We'll get to those down the card, but I still think it's playable. But I'll be honest, I like the 2 other overs that I'll mention later in the show a little bit more. Jimmy Murphy, anything here with the Flyers and Capitals?
I'm riding the Flyers right now, guys. Like you said, you can't write them off, and I mean, look, you made a good point there. We've seen it with the Bruins, the way they've played since their streak ended. And obviously a lot of that has to do with the injuries, and the Capitals are a lot healthier. But I still like that theory there that sometimes a team can go flat for a couple games when they have a streak snapped. And the Flyers at home are tough right now, and they're riding that momentum. So I like the Flyers in this game. Give me the Flyers money line official play.
All right, official play, a slight home dog. They are plus 110 you can get with the Philadelphia Flyers right now for a team playing well, team playing with their playoff lives on the line. Philadelphia for Jimmy, an official play. Next up, we've got Montreal, New York Islanders. The Islanders minus 125 to minus 130, home favorites in that range. The total 5.5, shaded to the under. Montreal with the game they needed to win the other night against the Detroit Red Wings. We talked about it. You stunk the joint up the last 2 games in California. You needed to come home and right the ship, and they did. They got off to a slow start. Disappointing because a lot of us liked them in the first period to come out guns blazing. They had chances, and Bernier decides to show up in the first period and actually make some pretty good saves to keep that game scoreless after the first 20 minutes, much to our chagrin. But Montreal ends up with the 3-1 victory. Very good defensively, much improved, which, again, Claude Julien and the team talked about that going in to that game against Detroit. I would think the same mindset here. I would definitely lean to this game going under the total. There's no question, but it's 5.5. It's shaded to the under. It seems like the unders I like. There's no bargains. They're always 5.5s, and they're always shaded to the under when I actually like an under, and that's the case here. But I think you could get 5 goals or less in this game. Islanders also trying to turn things around defensively. They did that. They have done that actually their last couple of games. Nice win for them last game out against Columbus. Shutting out the Blue Jackets for their last win. Again, that's a team that had lost their way a little bit defensively. The Islanders in recent games, they turned it around, hunkered down in their own zone, and got that shutout win against Columbus. So you got 2 teams that I think have emphasized recently, Barry Trotz and Julien, the 2 coaches. Hey, we got to get better defensively. It's not been good enough in recent games. So lean under the total, pass on the side for me. No official play here in this game, but a lean to the under. Alex B. Smith, you got anything with the Habs and Islanders game here?
I got to lean here with the draw at plus 285. I could see this being a really tight battle, and this be one of those games where if it's 2-2 going in the third, neither team is going to risk making a mistake to let in a goal and lose in regulation and come out with 0 points. Both teams need points. It's critical in their respective races. I could easily see this one being a 3-2 game ending in an overtime or shootout. So give me that at plus 285. Actually, no, I'll make that official.
Make it official. I think this is a close game. I think that's got a legit chance. Overtime. It smells like overtime. Habs and Islanders. They play close games. Habs, Detroit at home. Close game, even with a bad Detroit team at home. Makes me think on the island with the Islanders here. And the Islanders don't usually, not always, but don't usually score enough to pull away from anybody. So that could be a live prop. Again, if you've got that access to 3-way money lines, look for that draw option with the Montreal Islanders game. That's definitely not a bad look there, and not in the least. Andrew, anything here with Montreal and the Islanders? I know you are relieved they got the win the other night. Not exactly pretty, but they got the job done. Much better defensively. Can they carry it over to a winning effort tonight?
Well, the way I look at this one, Ian, you mentioned that last game against Detroit was kind of a must-win or well-needed win, but I classify this one as a well-needed win as well, because looking at their schedule coming up here, to be honest with you, think that they have a decent schedule, at hand comparison to the Blackhawks or the Flyers, and they got this game against the Islanders tonight, but then the Columbus Blue Jackets, I meant to say, but they have the Islanders tonight, Blackhawks next. Then the Flyers, Islanders again, then Sabres, Hurricanes, Panthers. I mean, I think a lot of those are winnable games, if not very tight, close games. But this one here, off that win against Detroit, I think we have to learn based off that game we saw against Detroit. Even though they didn't run the score up, they still played their kind of hockey, and I was impressed with after the first 10 minutes of the first period, they really turned it on, and the guys that I want to play good hockey really stepped things up. We saw Domi play an absolute great game. Gallagher pretty much involved in every play. Drouin finally had a pretty good game. He was involved in a lot of the action. And, of course, the man that everyone says that Montreal is only standing alive by, Carey Price, an outstanding game from him. Some of those saves he made were unbelievable, and he makes them look easy. He does it every single night. Guys, I'm looking at my Montreal Canadiens here in this one, and you guys know I don't hop on them every single game. I just think that this spot here is a lot more important for them than it is for the Islanders. Montreal is 8-1 in their last 9 in New York against the Islanders. And I think that these two teams match up very well together. And the speed for the Montreal Canadiens, will be great. I mean, they're pretty much playing Price in every single game now for the rest of the season. And looking at their schedule, I mean, this one just seems very important to me. Get this one under your belt, get a quick win here, keep it low scoring, and all of a sudden you're looking decent moving forward to the rest of the season. So, and also I really do like the price in this one as well. So this is an official play for me on the Canadians.
All right, official play on Montreal, a small underdog in Nassau against the Nassau, not Bahamas, Nassau Coliseum. I wish I was there right now. Nassau, Bahamas, you better believe it. Jimmy Murphy, you got anything here? Habs and the Islanders.
Yeah, guys, I'm liking this to be a really low-scoring, probably boring game. I mean, not boring. I shouldn't say that because they're both playing for valuable playoff points. So obviously there's going to be some excitement. They are in Long Island. But in terms of if you want goals, this is not the game to me. So I'm all over the under. Give me under 5.5 official play here.
All right, under. I definitely don't disagree with that. Under is definitely the way I'd be looking from a total standpoint here. Two teams that have, again, recently recommitted themselves to, hey, getting better defensively, and they both showed it. The Islanders and the Canadians in their last game. Tampa Bay, Detroit. We've got Tampa Bay minus 380 on the road. What else is new? I mean, go do something else with your money if you think there's value with the Tampa Bay Lightning at this time of year. Because there's clearly not. I mean, find something else to do. I mean, just don't lay these crazy prices this time of year with the best teams in the NHL. Sure, they can win the game still, but there's going to be those spots where you pay the price for it. What if another Minnesota game crops up coming up for Tampa Bay, where they get shut out at home and nobody sees it coming? So be careful with these big prices. And if you lose on a bet like this, minus 380, and it's a 1-unit bet, guess what? You're 3.8 units in the hole. Essentially, and now you got to win damn near 4 bets at that 1 unit per bet amount
to win.
Yeah, exactly, to get back in the plus profit. So just be careful. I mean, I know there's still some people that are betting these crazy money lines, and I'm like, just be careful at this time of year. That's all I'm trying to say to anyone that might be thinking about that. Even the puck line, like with teams like Tampa right now, not exactly great value. There's not much for me to say on this game. There's nothing that could attract me to the Detroit side in this game. We see it. They're struggling defensively. They're struggling offensively. They've had trouble scoring goals. They scored 1 goal against Florida on the weekend, 1 goal against Carey Price and the Habs in their last game. Carey Price, by the way, franchise record in wins, which shows you how good he's been in Montreal. Knock out guys like Patrick Waugh, Ken Dryden, some great goaltenders for the Montreal Canadiens. Carey Price now at the top of that list. So special honor for Carey and shutting down the Detroit Red Wings the other night. Detroit's just not showing me anything right now. There's frustration. Thomas Vanek, tried calling out the team after the Florida game. We still got a lot to play for, and we need to show it, for jobs for next year. And didn't show much against Montreal the other night. So Tampa too expensive. Detroit not a live dog in my opinion with the way their current form is. So it's a pass for me. Same with the total. I mean, I don't trust Detroit to score. Tampa Bay is certainly capable of hanging 5 or 6 on their own against Detroit tonight. The question is, can Detroit help you out? So it's a pass all around. What about you, Alex, on this Lightning Red Wings game?
Yeah, complete pass. I mean, we saw these two teams just play recently. Tampa was a minus 450 favorite and only won 3-2. Then they turn around and beat Toronto badly, which had to be a great momentum game for them. This screams letdown, but like you said, you can't bet on Detroit. This is a team that's pretty much circling calendars, getting ready to go golfing. So complete pass for me.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's going to be a popular sentiment. I know it is with Andrew, right?
Yeah. No, I'm completely staying off this one. It's just there's just not much to say about it. You said there's like such ridiculous lines are being offered. I do want to say a lot of people get confused, and I'm assuming that most people that are subscribed to us understand this. But what you were saying before is to make 1 unit back with that whole Tampa Bay thing, and no one should be betting minus 380s, minus 400s. It's just ridiculous. Sometimes I get up there with 160 or something like that if I'm really confident in a pick, but I'm never getting up there in the 200, 300 range. That's just ridiculous. And I think that looking at a matchup like this, you got to be looking at a team total. You got to be looking at a period bet. You got to be looking at, a total in general. You can't be looking at a side specifically. However, I will say, guys, sometimes in puck lines, you think that you always want to get some crazy plus money. But however, the Calgary Flames, they were minus 120 the other day as a puck line, and they absolutely crushed it. They won like 9-4. So, hey, I mean, a bet's a bet and a win's a win, but, always good to find value as well. But overall pass for me, guys.
All right, Jimmy, you got anything with this game?
I'm with you. Straight up pass, guys. I'm not going to confirm in here. right down the middle there, pass it over the zone there. I mean, guys, this game, it really, it's almost like it shouldn't exist. It's going to be such a boring game. Both, Detroit's out of it, like you guys said, and Tampa Bay is just sort of riding out now, trying to stay healthy. So I think unless you got Tampa Bay playing a team like Boston or even a team like the teams we just discussed, like the Islanders and the Canadians and stuff like that, where those guys are battling for dear playoff life, that's when you touch that game. But other than that, when they're playing a team that's completely out of it, just stay far away.
Yeah, and just not showing you anything right now in terms of their recent form, and that's Detroit. I mean, it's been a really, really rough go of it for Jeff Blashill's team. And Jeff Blashill's starting to get some heat a little bit from the locals there in Detroit. So I don't think he's getting fired, by the way. They know that's a big, big rebuild job on the way. I think he's back one more year. Anyway, one more year. I think he's back next year.
I'm going to tell you something right now that's going to happen, and you can mark the date down. I said this.
Wow.
Joe Quenneville is going to be the new coach of the Detroit Red Wings next year, and Steve Yzerman will be GM. Book it.
Wow. There we go. There's a book it confident statement right there from Jimmy Murphy.
Personally, I hope you're wrong with that.
Yeah.
I do not want to see Q on the bench for Detroit.
Just a little insight there. Joe Quenneville's from the Windsor, Ontario area there. Right. We have mutual friends, and one of my mutual friends has been telling me that this has been in works for a long time. And then this was before Steve Yzerman stepped down as GM of the Lightning, and then that happened. So I'm just telling you, the dominoes are going into effect here. Kenny Holland's interested in the Seattle job. He'll probably bolt for that. Stevie Y comes in. He knows Joe Quenneville well. I'm telling you, watch that. It's going to happen.
That's not a cockamamie thought process that could happen, because Stevie Yzerman, the lifelong Detroit Red Wing as a player, loves the franchise. I know he's enjoyed his time in Tampa, but come on. If the Detroit GM job comes up for Steve Yzerman, he's going to it. That's all there is to it. He's getting that. He's going for it. There's no issue.
It's not even if Tampa has success this year.
Yeah.
If Tampa does well this year, that's like, hey, go ahead.
Here, it's time to move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he's in a good position for the future too. I mean, it's not like he's just leaving them a mess. He's put them in a good position for the future there.
Stacked.
Yeah, and Julien Brisebois is a very capable GM. He's going to do a great job. He's not leaving them high and dry or anything. I think it made sense to me 2 years ago, and now it makes even more sense with the way things have happened.
If this plays out that way, I'm telling you, we're going to do something special for Jimmy if this ends up coming to fruition. I don't know what it is yet. We'll think of some way to reward him for his tremendous acumen here and reporting. Well, he's a media guy. He keeps his ear to the ground when it comes to some of this stuff. We'll have to remember that. It's definitely, I could see it coming. I mean, Yzerman and with Coach Q, and Coach Q does want to coach again at some point. Yeah. He said it. So yeah, that's definitely a possibility. Don't tell the Blackhawks fans that there's no hate. Don't tell the Blackhawks fans that there's no hate with Detroit anymore just because they're in the other conference. There's still
we still hate
old
we
days,
still hate Detroit. We will always still hate Detroit, but we will always love Coach Q for what he's done. So that's fine. There'll be no bad blood there.
No, exactly. There'll be no bad blood, like Neil Sedaka said back in the 70s. Yeah. So that's very interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on the way that works out with Detroit. And hey, one last point about it. If you're Steve Yzerman, win-win. If you win the cup with Tampa, you go out winning the cup. Yeah. If you don't, you fall short. You're like, hey, I did all I could. We fell short. Time to go to another opportunity. So it's not like, again, it's a terrible situation for Yzerman, one way or the other. Next up on the card, we've got, let's see what we got here. It is St. Louis, Ottawa. St. Louis minus 265, total 6 shaded to the under. Again, nothing official on this game, but Ottawa plus a goal and a half is always interesting because the effort's there. That would be a lean for me. St. Louis, needing points. St. Louis off the loss against Arizona the other night's a concern. That's the only thing that keeps me off the Ottawa puck line. It was a tough loss for them against an Arizona Coyotes team that was off the thrashing against Chicago the night before. St. Louis should be not take Ottawa lightly with them coming off that loss to Zona. So that's why I'm not going official on the Ottawa puck line, but I would absolutely lean Ottawa puck line plus a goal and a half in this game. You got a decent price with that. Alex B. Smith, anything with this one?
No, not really. Ottawa team, maybe they come out motivated, maybe not. There's a ton of injuries for St. Louis. I don't see there's any value in anything here, so I'm passing this.
All right, easy pass. The one concern with Ottawa too is Anders Nilsson. I'm always scared to death putting a bet on the Ottawa Senators with him in net. He is the confirmed starting goaltender tonight for the Sens, so we'll see if they're still able to compete and hang around with Nilsson in net tonight for the Senators. Andrew, you got anything with this game?
Nothing official here, guys, but this is one of those ones that's really interesting for me because it's two teams where, obviously way different in the standings. But you look at this Ottawa team, like I've mentioned all year long, they've been up there in the standings as far as goals per game. They just can't get a stop to save their lives defensively. And that's just what I find hilarious about them, because if they had any kind of defensive pressure and, an outstanding goaltending performance every single night, they'd be a solid team. So I'm backing your +1.5, Ian. How many times do you really see St. Louis, blow teams out? Not too often. And I think, with the price we're getting, I think that Ottawa keeps things tight. I could see like a 4-3 win for St. Louis, something like that. And, that would catch a ticket for us. So I'd lean to Ottawa +1.5 too.
All right, a lean only for Andrew, but yeah, leaning as well, just like me. Ottawa +1.5 goals on the puck line. Jimmy, you got anything here?
Guys, I'm with you. Ottawa, they're one of those teams too. It's kind of like Tampa, like you want to stay away. You don't know what's going to happen, but they stay in games lately, and they're not getting killed. I mean, look at the way they played the Bruins before the Bruins streak got snapped there. I think that was the last team the Bruins beat in that streak. I mean, they had them right there till the end, and then the Bruins made one of their last-minute comebacks. So I like that too, guys. I'm going to go with you on that. Make it official for me. Ottawa +1.5. And just a note, too, for anyone touching this game, I don't know if it will have an effect, but the guy they got, the key to the Mark Stone deal, Eric Brandstrom, is playing tonight for the Ottawa Senators. He'll make his NHL debut. So that's a little note there on that game.
That's a great thing to point up because I read about that and knew about that, and I almost forgot to mention it. Yes, Eric Brandstrom playing the centerpiece really of the trade for Mark Stone with the Vegas Golden Knights, a defenseman that they believe has the chance to be a pillar for this team on the back end in the future. So we'll see if he has his time to shine and gets a chance to tonight.
You guys, he's the reason that first-round pick that they were asking for became a second. Right. Once they knew they could get Branson, they're like, all right, just give us a second instead of a first, because from all accounts, I mean, this kid is, many consider one of the best hockey players, professional hockey, outside the NHL right now. They look at him as Erik Karlsson, but with more balls. To be
right. Yeah, a little tougher, a little bit sturdier in his own zone, maybe a little bit more snarl to his game, as Doc Emmerich says. That would be something that if you can play with that, have the puck movement, have the skating ability, have the vision, and have that little bit of a edge to your game and physicality, just a touch of it. Boy, that could make for a very good defenseman. And you're right, I'm reading the same things about Brandstrom. He does have a little bit of a rough little exterior to him, so we'll see if that permeates itself here with the Senators. So Jimmy is officially on Ottawa puck line +1.5. Andrew and I lean in that direction. Next up on the card, Boston and Winnipeg. Very good one. East versus West matchup. Winnipeg -125, home favorites, total 6, shaded to the over. And I mentioned this on Twitter after Boston got just drubbed by the Columbus. Not really drubbed because it was 5-1. They came back, made it exciting, 5-4. The Jackets sweating there. And then the Jackets finally put it away and won 7-4. I mentioned it and I really, really wanted to watch that game closely. I wanted to see Boston in this first game without, I think, a very underrated defenseman in Matt Grzelcyk, the way he had been playing this season. And I thought this team looked out of sorts completely at the defensive end without him. Now, I don't expect them to be 7 goals allowed per game, bad game in, game out without him. But to me, there's going to be some deficiencies at the back end for Boston, at least in the meantime, until they get him back. I think because he's very sturdy, he makes good decisions with the puck. He rarely, when he's breaking out of his own zone, Grzelcyk, he's rarely turning the puck over. He's making that good first pass. That's something that's critical to getting the offense started, getting the forecheck going in the other direction. You lose that quite a bit with Matt Grzelcyk, and it just looked like there was more turnovers, more communication breakdowns, positional breakdowns in front of Tuukka Rask in that game the other night. Of course, he pulled Tuukka Rask because he had no help in front of him. That's basically it. And he'll be back tonight. It does concern me, again, in terms of the total in this game. You got Tuukka up, getting pulled. Usually he's pretty good responding from that. But I'm very worried. Now, Boston, they played Columbus, decent offensive team, albeit struggling to put the puck in the net. Now you got to go to Winnipeg, play this Jets offense, and a Jets team that's very upset with losing that game against San Jose in the final seconds the other night. Joe Pavelski with 5 seconds to go, 5-4 victory, 2-on-1 for the Sharks with 5 seconds to go. They win that game 5-4. You got two banged up blue lines right now. It's not just Grzelcyk and Miller and the guys out for Boston. Look at Winnipeg. Josh Morrissey, who's been one of their best defensemen, has been out a while. Bufflin's been out on that blue line for a while now for the Jets, and they've been struggling in their own zone at times. San Jose did whatever they wanted offensively. So I'm going to go over this. This is my second over on the card here. Boston and Winnipeg over 6, minus 120. I think the Bruins are going to play a couple more overs game by game with the absence of Grzelcyk. I'm not going to say it's going to happen every game, but if you're giving up lots of chances, a lot of bad positional play against Columbus, that concerns me against a team like the Winnipeg Jets, especially going on the road against them with the firepower they have. But I think Boston's capable of scoring goals too. They've proven even without Pasternak and now DeBrusk as well for the last few games, this team's still chipping in goals. I think Danton Heinen's been a nice little bright spot too for the Boston Bruins with the increased responsibility and ice time. So Boston's going to be able to chip in. And I'll be honest, Connor Hellebuck's been a little up, little down lately in net for the Jets. He'll be in net tonight for them. So give me Boston, Winnipeg over the total of 6, about minus 115. Minus 120. That's my second over on the card. That'll be an official play. Alex, you got anything here with the Bruins taking on the Jets?
I like the Jets here. I'm going to make this official, playing them at minus $1.20. Jimmy, props to you for calling that this Boston game last game was going to be kind of a rough one for them. And like I said, even though they made the valiant comeback to get within a goal, that was an ugly battle. And Columbus finally, pulled their head out of their asses. They've been dragging around the last couple of games. So now you got a Winnipeg team that we know they can score at will when they get things rolling. And I'm seeing now too, it says Torrey Krug out tonight with illness. I don't know is that a flu thing, Jimmy, or?
Tell you guys that. Yeah. No, I saw him kind of laboring in the third period there. He looked like he was hurt, so we'll see what happens with that. And they can't imagine that if they have Grzelcyk and Krug out.
Exactly. So that's why I'm going to go with the Jets minus $1.20 the official play.
All right, Winnipeg minus 120. That might make the Jets side even more appealing because you talk about Grzelcyk. Krug would just be – that's an enormous loss for the Boston Bruins in all areas. Puck movement, power play, defensively, everything for the Boston Bruins, and they could be in some really rough waters here. So tonight against a high-flying Jets team, and again, the way the Jets lost that game the other night against San Jose, you would think Winnipeg is not going to be in a good mood tonight in their home building of MTS Center.
Thursday night game too. It's like those are big games. Yeah. People get up for those. So
yeah, exactly. Andrew McGinnis, you got anything here with Boston, Winnipeg?
This is more of an entertainment game for me. Kind of struggling right now since the Patreon page opened up, so I'm not going to go on too many games over the next couple of days till I kind of recoup myself and get some units back. But looking at this one here, I would just lean the over. You guys have already touched on it, so I won't take too much time. But it's very simple with me. With Johansson out, with Krug out, Miller out, Pasternak out, Grzelcyk, DeBrusk is questionable, and it's a lot of guys that are usually making those big defensive plays. And this Boston team to me is always an under team. At first impression, I always take them as an under team, especially at a 6 number. Boston does not mind winning low scoring games. They seem very comfortable doing so. But again, that game against Columbus was tough to watch. It was kind of like Columbus took all their frustration out of their last week and a half, just out on the Boston Bruins. And I think Winnipeg right now is starting to get things together. And they're an example of a team right now that, although they've, had a secure playoff spot, they have really had some ups and downs recently, and they're trying to get their shit together before the playoffs start. So this one's important to them. It's an Eastern Conference versus Western Conference. I would lean to the over in this one, but nothing official. I'll probably have a small bet on it.
All right, small bet on the over, nothing official. And there's nothing wrong with pulling back. If you're not seeing clearly things at the moment or, having some rough waters, nothing wrong with that. It's always better to lower volume when you're struggling, higher volume when you're seeing it well. That's always what I do. It's what I try to tell everybody. That's a good way to go usually in terms of betting on a daily basis. When you're in a good groove, in good form, maybe step things up a little bit in terms of number of plays, but scale back when you're struggling a little bit. Jimmy, anything here with the Bruins and the Jets?
Guys, I'm all over the Jets puck line here. I think the Bruins are in for it tonight. They're in for a long night. You guys just listed all the reasons there. They're not looking good for tonight with the injuries they're having. They're kind of just going the opposite direction right now, and it's all right. I mean, they're not in a position where they can lose too many in a row, but I don't think it's going to last too long because Bruce Cassidy will get them to buy in and they'll figure it out. But right now, I don't like the state of the Bruins. It's not good, and they're going in like you guys said. They're facing a Jets team that's pissed off. one of the toughest buildings to play in the NHL. I love the puck line, and I'm going to lean towards the over as well.
And lean to the over, but officially Winnipeg puck line -1.5, and a really, really good price with that too, with the Jets on the puck line too. And Jimmy's been crushing it with these puck lines. He has been the puck line magician here.
Puck line Murphy.
Yeah, exactly. Puck line. Yeah, PL Murphy. Yeah, puck line Murphy. Exactly. Yeah, puck line Murph. Exactly. That's what he's been. He's about plus 210. How about that? How about that for a payout if Winnipeg wins by 2? That's a payoff right there. Plus 210. By the way, Ottawa puck line. We didn't get the price there. I didn't have it up at the time. What the price was. Puck line for Ottawa is -120 plus a goal and a half. So a good price there on that Ottawa puck line as well from earlier. But Winnipeg by 2 or more. For Jimmy Murphy, who has been doing a great job with these puck line wagers here on the Patreon NHL Ice Guys show. I'm on the over in this game, and of course, Andrew's going to lean to the over, and Alex is on Winnipeg here as an official play money line with that one, -120. Next up, we've got Dallas and Minnesota. Am I seeing this right? Like, I know I got laser eye surgery 10 years ago, but I got to wipe my eyes and see if I'm seeing this right. Is that a 5? Is that a 5 for a total in this game? It is. Yep. Holy shit. It is. It's a 5. It's a 5. It's a 5. It is 5. -120. And only -120 to the over. Dallas and Minnesota. Unbelievable. But you start to look at the way the Dallas Stars have played lately, and you can see why it's a 5. This is the ultimate under team in the NHL this year, and I would have never thought Dallas would be that team. Like, if you say who's the number 1 under team this season in the NHL, I wouldn't have said Dallas before the season started, but it's proven that way. Their offense has been overrated from day one. You know, their best guys have had okay seasons, but not great seasons. The kind of seasons that led the owner of the team to absolutely rip 2 of the guys in public earlier this season, Seguin and Ben, of course. So it's not been the great offense we thought. I mean, this is one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL 2 years ago. It's anything but that this year. They're now recommitting themselves to winning tight, low scoring, good checking, good penalty kill type hockey games, and great goaltending, which they're getting right now from Ben Bishop. Ben Bishop's been absolutely sensational in the last few games that he's been in net for this Dallas team. So I know it's 5. And believe me, the first inclination for me was I got to look at the over here. 5. I mean, my goodness, over -120. I got to be able to jump on that, right? Well, I'm hesitant. You know, it's been nothing but 2-0, 2-1, 3-1 lately. 1-0 as well. Dallas had a game like that against the Rangers. All of those would clear under 5 goals. So it's extreme value to the over, but extreme value doesn't always cash in. Sometimes you got to still break these matchups down. It's not like Minnesota's the kind of offense you trust to crack a thriving defense right now, like what the Dallas Stars have. So this is a pass for me. I'm going to be mad if this game goes over the total, because I saw it there, 5 over -120, extreme value, didn't bet it. I don't think I can bet Dallas over right now, plain and simple. Even at 5, I've got some hesitancy. So pass for me in this game. Andrew, Alex, you got anything here with the Stars and your hometown Minnesota Wild here?
Yeah, I'm fading the home team here. They've lost 4 of their last 5 overall. They've lost 8 of the last 9 at home, and this is a huge homestand for them. They got 4 games in the next 6 days. If they want to get back in this race, they got to win some of these. But like I said with the San Jose game, where they lost a big game, a moment where they need to step up, and they absolutely blew it. I expect to see that again. With this Dallas team's been rolling pretty well. They've won 4 of the last 6 meetings against the Wild at even money. This is my best bet tonight, so I'm doubling up with the Dallas Stars.
Yeah, you can get you +100. There you go. Don't even have to lay any sort of price here with the Dallas Stars. So Alex liking the Stars tonight. I definitely leaned in that direction too. The one little bit of hesitation and trepidation I have is Minnesota off the loss to San Jose, where they were in the game, just couldn't score against the Sharks. Really, really big spot this is for the Wild. Really, really need 2 points, but again, really, really need doesn't mean you get. That's always the thing you remember. So, and I will not bet against Dallas right now. Dallas has it locked in. They got a red hot goalie locked in defensively. That's going to be tough for Minnesota, I think, to find the back of the net tonight, even if they are desperate to get 2 points they really, really need. Andrew, you got anything on this Dallas-Minnesota game here?
I love it when Alex talks about his the draw bets, because it's like saying that teams don't need that regulation. They just want to draw things out and play defensively, go for the tie. If it's there. For me in this one, I feel like these teams are going to absolutely shit on the bookmakers and take the over in this one. I feel like it's an absolute over spot, guys. And I promise you, I'm not just saying it because I see a 5 number here. I look at the Minnesota. I look at Minnesota Wild's past 10 games. I see such a sporadic up and down, up and down, up and down. I mean, first of all, how do we think they beat the Tampa Bay Lightning? You know, great defensive hockey, great goaltending, but they had to turn things on offensively as well. Now, you can't score 3 goals on Tampa Bay Lightning without turning things on offensively. You know, and this Minnesota team, I would have been surprised to see them scoring based off, you know, the guys that they have recently. You know, the past couple of games, 3-0 versus Tampa Bay, lost 6-2 against Florida, 3-0 against San Jose, lost. But the thing is, Dallas is a little bit different of a team because, you know, I think sometimes when teams match up well together, it could deem to be an over because I just can't see Dallas slowing things down versus Minnesota. I see Minnesota being a very desperate team in this one. I see it being a very sloppy hockey game that leads to a lot of errors, a lot of, you know, odd man rushes. And that's kind of my reasoning for this total. And again, we see if we get a 3-2, it's a push. You know, I think that worst case scenario, we get a 3-2 hockey game or something like that. I could see these teams going goal for goal throughout the entire game. And it's going to shock a lot of people in my eyes. And we see, you know, I said I'm kind of falling back a little bit volume wise, but this is one that since last night, looking over the card, stuck out to me. And I said, hey, you know, Dallas is playing some good hockey right now. I'm going to go ahead and pull on this over. So just official 1 unit for me on this play.
All right, so Dallas, Minnesota, over 5, -120. Again, I don't know if you'll ever see this again, regular season or playoffs, 5 -120 to bet over the total. I mean, it's in a year where 6 and 6.5s, and in the case of the Chicago Blackhawks, 7s have dominated the totals landscape. You're not going to see this very often, 5 -120, and Andrew looking to take advantage of that. Jimmy, you got anything with Stars Wild?
I'm far away from this game, guys. Give me a pass. I don't like it at all. That I'm with you. I mean, you're never going to see that again, I think, this season and maybe in the future. But I just, right now, I don't know who wins this game because the Wild have kind of faded off a bit in the last couple of games. And then the Stars are playing some great hockey. This game's just too tough for me. I'm going to pass.
All right, there we go. Pass for Jimmy Murphy, but Alex on Dallas, Andrew on the over. I lean over, but I'm going to stay off it. But we wish Andrew well with it. Next up, Arizona hosting the Anaheim Ducks. Alex is going to have to skip on us after this game, so he's going to tell us what he likes in this game, and then he'll be leaving us. We'll recap his card, by the way, before he exits the show. Arizona -140, -145, total 5.5, shaded to the under, about -140 in this game. You know, Anaheim, I'm going to back off betting against them for now. Because I've done it a couple times, and I've had I've been pounding my head against the wall trying to do it. I remember losing with Colorado against them in a game recently. And then the other night, Nashville in regulation. Nashville decides to wake up in the third period, too little, too late. Can't spot even a team like Anaheim, a 3-0 lead on the road, and expect to come back. And Nashville's comeback falls just short in that game, losing 3-2. Anaheim's still trying, you know, and there has been more tension, more urgency, more focus with Bob Murray behind the bench after Carlisle got fired. So give him credit. It does help John Gibson's back in net. Gibson's finest, you know, is the finest goaltender Anaheim has, that's for sure. And he's been really, really good since they've had him back. So I'm off the fade Anaheim train right now. They've burned me a couple of times to pass for me in this game. But Alex is involved in this game, and this is his last game on the card. Arizona, Anaheim. Alex, what are you looking at here?
I like the under here in this game. This is, you know, Arizona's still a team that's still in the wild card race, playing at home. This should be a more electric atmosphere than we've seen at Gila River Arena. Say that 3 times fast. Than anywhere else, any other time we've seen them this year, minus the Shane Doan ceremony. It'd probably be close to that. And this is a division opponent. Anaheim has won 10 of the last 14 meetings, so that's why I'm a little skeptical of laying 140 with the Coyotes. Maybe this is a game Anaheim gets geared up for like they did against LA, but I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think, especially when you see Arizona, when they gave up that 7th spot against the Hawks, they turned around, played well defensively against St. Louis the next night, and Anaheim, 8 of their last 12 games have gone under, including 5 straight on the road, while you have Arizona, 4 of the last 6 have gone under. I can see this being a 2-1 game, so I like that under.
You know what's interesting? Arizona played spoiler to a lot of teams last year down the stretch, trying to make the playoffs. And especially in this division, you got to wonder if some of these divisional opponents maybe remember that when they play Arizona now. That let's return the favor. Let's pay them back and try to keep these guys out of the playoffs right now. Arizona with that second wild card spot in the West right now, trying to hang on to it. Alex is going to have to leave the show. Before we say goodbye to him, let's recap his card quickly. We'll recap his card again at the end of the show as well. It's on Pittsburgh in regulation, -120. Montreal Islanders draw at a great plus price. Winnipeg, -120. Anaheim, Arizona, under 5.5, -130. And his best bet, Dallas Stars, +100 against the Minnesota Wild. That is Alex's card. He's got a roll. Alex, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, see you, Alex. Have a great night. Good luck.
See you, buddy.
There he goes. All right, Andrew McGinnis, Anaheim, Arizona. What do you like here in this game, if anything?
I like Arizona, and I do like the under. None of those are official plays, but I'll give a little bit of reasoning why. First of all, it's like you said, Ian, this team is playing kind of reverse roles that they've had over the past several years. Looking at this Arizona team, they've actually really excelled over the past several games, not only winning lower scoring games, but also dominating teams, 3-1, 4-1 victories. And, their goaltending used to be a little bit of a shaky subject for us on the Ice Guys show throughout the years. And all of a sudden now we're seeing a little bit of consistency out of them. And, I did hear you mention that you've been a little bit impressed with Anaheim out the gate over the past couple of games. And I couldn't agree more. This team has really kind of gotten their shit together, and not only, not really been scoring a lot, guys, by any means, but they've been involved in games. They've been, upsetting teams. Cough, cough. When my Montreal Canadiens lost 8-2, won't mention that again. But they've been actually getting on the board and giving it the old college try. Something's really been sticking with me ever since we started the Patreon page. And hats off to you, Jimmy. I'm always learning from all of you guys. Teams that are out, some of them still really give a shit. And that's really what I've learned from teams like the Devils, the Ducks, the Kings, certain teams guys, how about the Devils last night? How about the Devils? I mean, what a performance. This is a team that is out here completely out of it, and they're completely, still staying involved in these games. And it's not that I didn't realize it before, but it's more so that I feel like next year when I approach this time of year, it's because of what you said, Jimmy, and looking at this card, I'm going to be looking for a lot more dogs, because a lot of them are cashing. A lot of these teams that aren't supposed to be winning are stepping up to the plate and saying, hey, look, I'm out of the playoffs, but screw you. I'm still going to play hockey. And that's what I feel like, Arizona's going to start doing to teams now, is saying, hey, I'm not going to be like what I was last year. I'm going to stay in my role and play my hockey. So I lean to Arizona, and I lean to the over in this one, actually. Now that I'm talking myself over that, because I think that actually both teams really do care. The more I talk about it, the more I think about it, I can't see Anaheim playing a relaxed game anymore. What do they have to lose, guys? That's what I'm really wondering. Yeah. And, as I'm rambling on here, I think, what the hell does Anaheim have to lose? Why are they going to try and play a 2-1 style game? If they get down early 2-0 to Arizona, what are they going to do? They're going to have to go full attack mode,
All right, so leaning with Arizona and the over, which is 5.5 at 8.
First, but sorry, I had to change.
Yes, over 5.5 at plus price. Hey, you start to think about the game and recite it more in your mind. Let's give the Devils credit. I know they're not playing today, but we have to. We should mention that briefly. Calgary, they could have and maybe should have won that game, and then you come back the next night with this depleted beyond belief roster, littered with guys that should be in the AHL right now, and you beat Edmonton, and just a crushing blow. Typical Edmonton, huh? You just start to inch your way back into maybe some playoff hope, and you're doused by the New Jersey Devils that have AHL roster with 3/4 of it right now, that go into Edmonton and beat you last night. So typical of the Oilers. A typical Oilers loss. I mean, just when they get your hopes up, they'll just bam, crush them like a fucking bat crushes a baseball. For a home run. That's exactly it.
Blow that thing up in Edmonton, guys. Just blow it all up. You know what I love here? Trade McDavid.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody.
Earlier in the year this year, if you guys think McDavid will be an Oiler for life, and a lot of you guys said yes, but I'm wondering.
I don't see it. I think the NHL might step in there. I mean, you know how the NHL play. I know it's a long time ago. We're talking 30-something years ago, but you know how the NHL stepped in to kind of push Gretzky to LA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do they want that guy rotting in Edmonton?
Really, exactly.
It's useless to the league to have him there right now, and they're not going to change. You listen to all the stuff that's going on there with the old brigade there, the old guys that they're still calling the shots, the Kevin Lowe's and
Bob Nicholson and Keith Gretzky and all these. Yeah.
But Jimmy, I've recited it numerous times on this show that the errors and the constant mistakes that management has made. So if the NHL is looking from an outside standpoint, I know you know more about how that all works than me, but can't they just say like, hey, you guys fucked up, not us? Like, it's up to you guys to make good trades.
Yeah, they can.
Where the hell is Jordan Eberle? Where is Taylor Hall? Where are all these guys that, exactly, right? So it's not really their fault. I mean, they had Larson for Hall. What the fuck is that?
The Larson's been terrible. I mean,
who can they blame but themselves, right?
But it goes even further back to before McDavid, right? I mean, it's always been, let's just hold on to those glory days in the 80s, and we'll just keep trying to recycle it and everything. It's not working. They got to move on finally. It's been 30 years. Like, get over it. That's great you had Gretzky back in the day, but you know what? We're talking like it's 2019 now, not 1988. So time to move on, getting fresh blood in management. Get rid of the guys like Kevin Lowe and all those guys.
Yeah.
And you had one year where you got to the Cup final and you just hit lightning in a bottle that year, got hot. You rode Dwayne Rollison that year all the way to the Cup final against Carolina. That's your one crowning achievement in like 30 years. Really, that's about it.
And guys, you're talking about Anaheim here too, and that this game kind of scares the heck out of me. I'm going to pass on it, just because I'm like you, Ian. They have burnt me so bad in the last week. I had them against LA. They end up losing against LA. Then I bet against them, and I have Nashville. They end up beating Nashville. Yeah. So me and Anaheim, we don't mix right now. We're just staying far away. So I pass on this game.
That's exactly the way I see it with me and Anaheim right now. We're splitting up for now. We're breaking up with Anaheim until things clear, until the air gets cleared, so to speak.
Next,
it's right. It's not me. It's them. You're right. It is them. Exactly right, Andrew.
Now, man. Sorry.
Yeah, it is them. No question. Florida, San Jose, 2 games left. San Jose minus 200. Total 6.5. Shaded to the over, minus 130, minus 140. There's one over that I've still got left on this card, and I'm sure you probably can guess it's probably not going to come from the last game. It's from this game, Florida, San Jose. Florida's just scoring left and right. Look at every recent game, Florida. They've scored 6 goals, Florida, in each of their last 2 games. So they are just on fire right now offensively. I think they're going to find the back of the net right now. Their power play's working. Dadonov, Huberdeau is on a tremendous run right now for this Panthers team. Hoffman's been good lately. And San Jose is still questionable defensively. They are. And Martin Jones is still up, down. Not sure what you're going to get from him game to game. On the flip side, Florida, you trust them to shut down San Jose right now. San Jose is a juggernaut. San Jose has scored 3 goals or more, I believe, in 7 of their last 8 games. I think San Jose gets to 3. I think Florida, they've scored 6 goals back-to-back games. I think they can get to 3. You get 3-3 minimum. You cash your ticket here. Sam Montembeau's in net for Florida, not Luongo, the youngster. He's had 2 good starts in a row, but he was bad in his first start against Carolina. Had 2 good starts in a row, but look at the opponents. Minnesota, pedestrian offense. Detroit, no offense in those last 2 starts for Montembeault against the Wild and the Red Wings. This is a huge step up in class for Montembeault against this San Jose team, which whether Kane suits up or not, I'm not sure if he's back. I think he's going to be out again, Evander Kane tonight, but you've still got everybody else stepping up. We've talked about it. Timo Meier and Marcus Sorensen and Kevin Labanc and Tomas Hertl, and you still got Logan Couture and Pavelski and Thornton, and everybody's chipping in right now for this Shark team. You got Burns from the blue line that can produce offensively for you as well. It's still a team that's finding ways to score goals. They should have no trouble at home, no less, against a Florida defense that's leaky, young goalie that I think is going to be maybe getting a little baptism by fire tonight. Let's be honest. This ain't Minnesota now, Sam Montembeault. This ain't the Detroit Red Wings at home anymore, where you kept them to 1 goal. No, this is San Jose on the road in their Shark Tank. I think it could be a little bit of a different story for Mr. Samuel Montembeault tonight in net for the Panthers. So over 6.5 for me, minus 130 to minus 140 in that range. Panthers and Sharks. Their last game too was, I believe, 6-3, so it flew over the total. So I see goals in San Jose tonight. Andrew, you got anything with the Panthers and Sharks?
I couldn't agree any more with you about the over, but this is going to be an overall pass for me, and might have a little surprise for you based off what you said about the next game, because I've got some thoughts on that one as far as goals go.
Yeah. LA, I was a team I was on over the totals with for a bit. You're right, and for the most part for the last month, that's 5.5. But we'll wait for that game till we go further in detail with it. But Jimmy, you got anything with the Panthers and Sharks?
I like the over in this game a lot, and I like Michael Haley to get some revenge on his old mates, maybe drop the gloves with some of those guys.
Yeah, Michael Haley. That we might see a fight with Michael Haley in the lineup. He's the one guy in Florida that'll drop the gloves. And like Curtis Gabriel, like, I mean, he's been a fighting machine lately in the league since New Jersey called him up. He was in a dandy of a fight last night with Milan Lucic. That was a tremendous. That's one of the best fights of the season in the NHL. Not that there's been a lot to choose from, but that was one of them. That was a tremendous fight. Lucic and Gabriel in the Devils Oilers game. If you hadn't seen it, make sure you check it out. Very exciting. Rock'em sock'em. Both guys exchanging blows. Was a good battle, good bout with those two. Last game on the card: Nashville, Los Angeles. Nashville trying to bounce back off the loss to Anaheim. They're laying -200 in LA at Staples Center. The total 5.5 shaded to the under, -135 in this game. I'm going to keep it plain and simple. I am out of the betting on Nashville on the road business. I mean, that's been their bugaboo all year. On the road, they're average. And even against Anaheim, they showed why they're average on the road. And I've got Nashville now at a point in my Western Conference pecking order. I've now got them in my personal power rankings in the West. I've got them sixth in the West. I've got everybody else that's a contender in that conference now ahead of Nashville. Calgary, San Jose. I've got Vegas ahead of Nashville now. Winnipeg's ahead of Nashville right now. There's one more team that's I put ahead of them now too. I'm trying to think who it is, but I've got like Nashville 5th or 6th in the West behind all those teams. I think they're falling. I think there's some holes. They don't score enough half the time. I think Pekka Rinne is back to one bad goal a game. Pekka Rinne. Pekachu, got to stop them all. He's not stopping them all right now for the Nashville Predators. And again, Pekka Rinne is always that little lightning rod on this team. He can be tremendous in certain games, and then he's got that game where he gives up that rotten stinker of a goal. It changes momentum in a game. So that's always going to be the thing to watch for with Rinne. He goes in and out sometimes in terms of how well he performs in between the pipes. I'm still waiting for the acquisitions to get going offensively for this Nashville team. Wayne Simmons has been a slow starter, with much like Duchesne has been with Columbus, until Duchesne finally scored the other night against Boston. But Simmons has gotten off to a slow start. Granlund, I think, has only had one goal since he's joined the Predators. So they're waiting for these big reinforcements in their top 6 forward group to really pick up the pace and get going for this Nashville team. But right now they're just out of sync, and that was not a good loss the other night against Anaheim. Obviously, you would think that wakes them up. They have a chance to play better, get the win, but I'm not going to lay 200 or take Nashville even in regulation this time around to wonder if they turn it around. So I'm going to be out of this game entirely, side and total. But Nashville, to me, they're the team that's a little bit going downward just a little bit here in this upper echelon of the Western Conference. It's not the time of year that you want to be, playing a little bit more lethargic, mediocre hockey. And I'm seeing that from Nashville, especially when you get them outside of Bridgestone Arena and outside of Music City. Andrew, you got anything here with the Predators and the Kings? I believe you do.
I'm going to give a little tribute to my my pal Gabriel Morency, because I haven't talked to him in a while. And I'll tell you, I am pissed at this Predators team. You and I were both on the regulation line, Ian. What is wrong with this team? What is wrong? I mean, I feel like asking you guys, sending it back to you, but I gotta get this in. I mean, guys, with the talent that they have, there's nothing that can make me more pissed off. I can't see people always hate, all my buddies, guys, everyone that I know chirps the Montreal Canadiens. Who the hell are their all-stars? Who are their all-stars? I'll be the first to tell you. They don't have many. But you know who does have some great players? The friggin' Nashville Predators. And they don't show it every single night at all. I mean, first of all, where has Kyle Turris been? Where's Bonino been? Arvidsson's supposed to be one of their best guys. Simmons has done jack all since he's been there. Brian Boyle, I haven't seen him do anything great. And then that fourth line's just absolutely useless with Sissons and McLeod these days.
Yep.
Grenlund made a decent pass to Forsberg, but if you watch that last game where you and I both had the regulation, Ian, we really, really needed something before that third period. And all of a sudden they get that 5-on-3. Laviolette pulls the goalie. Forsberg scores. All of a sudden they pull it again. Forsberg scores. How the fuck do you score 2 goals in 45 seconds, but you can't score in 60 minutes again in the whole other rest of the game? This team is so talented, not only offensively. Let's look at their D pairing. Let's just refresh everybody's memory. They've got PK Subban, Matthias Ekholm, Ryan Ellis, Roman Josi. Roman Josi, the guy on this team, supposed to be the main guy, the captain, the big guy that can really, carry the weight of this team defensively. I don't know where that's gone because they've got great guys that are back there that are just getting walked all over. You look at the emotions on that bench, guys, after they get scored on, they all look depleted. And if I'm the management on that team, I'm saying to myself, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Because I assembled a great team, but clearly they don't work well together. I am so frustrated with this team right now. And if this bet doesn't hit that I'm about to take, I am not even touching Predators for another 4.5 months. I'm going over 5.5 goals, plus 120. 9 of the last 12 between these two teams in LA is cashed. These teams are both trending over when they're getting 5.5 numbers. I don't trust Nashville defensively right now. LA is one of those teams where I'll throw in the mix that they haven't given up and they've still been playing each and every game. This is probably my most pissed off rant I've had in a while with you guys, but I am furious with this Predators team. I got to see something. Forsberg is such an outstanding talent. And for the fact that, realistically, he scored those 2 outstanding goals, but sometimes you hear the saying, too little, too late. And that's exactly what that was for the Predators that night. This time, it will not be too little, too late. They got to put the pedal on the gas and the foot on the gas pedal and just absolutely give her. And this one will be a fast-paced game from the get-go. 5.5, take the over. I'm going to take a deep breath here, but that's my bet here.
All right, Nashville, LA over 5.5, which is plus 115 because it's under minus 135, which means you get plus 115 over 5.5 with that game, Nashville and LA. In theory, that makes a lot of sense, that play. Like I say, I've had some worse luck lately with LA over, so I've gotten off it for a bit, but we'll see if Nashville maybe starts the game better. Start on time, the old Mike Babcock saying. That didn't happen for Nashville the other night against Anaheim. They did not start on time. We'll see if they do tonight against this LA Kings team. Jimmy, you got anything here with Predators Kings?
Oh, I love that rant there, Andrew. That was great. And you know what? I picked the Predators, and I've stayed with them all year. I picked them to win the Cup. They've been my pick all along, and I'm not going to veer away because I'm not one of those people. But, man, they've tempted me plenty of times. I'll tell you that. And, yeah, they're just simply, as you put it, Andrew, they're underachieving. And it's really frustrating to watch. And imagine if you're a Predators fan, you're seeing this, because I think you look at that team right now and, how many windows you're going to have to win a cup there. And they were there 2 years ago. And I think, last year they ran into a tough Winnipeg team. It's just the way it goes in the playoffs when you get those second-round matchups. But this is their chance, and this is their window to win it. And I don't know, man. If they go into the playoffs like this, I could see them getting upset, even swept in the first round. So they got to get their shit together. I think they do it tonight. I'm gonna lean on. It's not gonna be an official play. I'm gonna lean on the Predators puck line here.
All right, I'll lean to the Nashville puck line that maybe tonight's the night they break out and bust out and finally, beat a team on the road that they should beat. I know LA's, still giving you decent effort most nights, but still having trouble at times scoring. And we know Jonathan Quick in net has had a tough time, and still defensively. Martinez back has helped, but still a blue line that really ever since the deadline hasn't been quite playing very as well in front of Jonathan Quick either. So we'll see if that maybe is what gets Nashville going. But absolutely, I mean, we have a right to blast this team because they've got a loaded blue line. I think PK Subban's more focused on his future television career right now than this blue line in this playoff chase for Nashville. He's embellishing plays on the ice like he did the other night against Anaheim. He's worried about his next TV deals, his little web show that he's doing now. He's got some deal to do this online show throughout the season. Time
maybe
to
his girlfriend too, right?
Yeah, exactly. His girlfriend there. Yeah, maybe Lindsey Vaughn there. Exactly. Maybe she's having a bad influence on him, not keeping him focused. Hey, PK.
I can't blame him though. Can you guys?
Yeah, it's hard not to. Exactly. You're right. Enjoy it, but hey, playoffs are coming. PK, time to refocus and pay attention and help this team in the playoffs ahead, because it looks like they need a little bit of help right now, dealing with some up and down inconsistency and confidence issues right now, this Nashville team. And again, they just haven't meshed at both ends of the ice. Offensively, some games they get held to a goal or two, and then there's other games where they're giving up goals. So it's been a lack of cohesion at both ends of the ice. And Nashville will see if tonight's a first step toward correcting some of those issues. That's going to wrap it up. That's the card. We're going to do best bets at the end. We're going to go through everybody's card. We mentioned Alex's card. We'll do it one more time with Alex and what he's on tonight. Pittsburgh in regulation -120. Montreal Islanders draw +280. Winnipeg -120. Dallas +100 is his best bet. Anaheim, Arizona under 5.5 -130. Andrew McGinnis is on Pittsburgh in regulation -120. Montreal +110. Dallas, Minnesota over 5 -120. Nashville, Los Angeles over 5.5 +115. So 4 plays for Andrew. Like you say, he's tightening it up, keeping it a little less volume tonight. Jimmy has got Pittsburgh in regulation -120. That's the consensus play for sure. Philadelphia +110. Montreal Islanders under 5.5 -125. Ottawa puck line +1.5 -120. Winnipeg puck line -1.5 +210. No homer in any of these guys. You know, Andrew won't always will bet against Montreal when it makes sense, and Jimmy with the same with Boston here. Winnipeg puck line -1.5 +210 for him. And then my card is Pittsburgh in regulation -120. Washington, Philadelphia over 6.5 -130. Boston, Winnipeg over 6 -120. Florida, San Jose over 6.5 -130. So 4 plays for me. None of these, by the way, will be best bet material for me tonight. All 1 unit plays. Andrew, any of yours best bet or all 1 unit?
Well, I mean, I just finished off ripping on a team that doesn't seem to shine come playoff time, come this time of year. I'm going back to a team that's a very consensus team for all of us right now, and a team that always gets it together around this time. Pittsburgh Penguins, regulation, best bet material for me. These guys are stepping it up on a whole new level. Like you mentioned, I don't care about the goaltending situation right now. I just know that these guys are turning it onto a whole different level, and that means a lot to me around this time of year. They'll get the job done in 60 minutes.
All right, 60 minutes. Pittsburgh in regulation -120. That was as close as I came to a best bet. It's just after the big Washington win, I just said, well, let's keep it 1 unit, but I still like that play. Of course, Pittsburgh in regulation -120. Jimmy, anything of your plays tonight that rate best bet material?
You know what, guys? I'm right with you there, Andrew. I'm going to ride you with that. I'm going to do the Pens regulation as my best bet. And as I'm sitting here and thinking about how, Andrew made some good points there, how they're getting it together and they're really turning it on like they always do this time of year. Obviously, if you've been watching them lately, Sidney Crosby is just on a whole nother level right now. The way he's put that, yeah, it's insane. It's so great to watch because every time we start to say, oh, Connor McDavid's the Hart Trophy winner, Connor McDavid's the best player in the NHL, the best player in the world, Sidney Crosby just basically turns around and he says, fuck you.
Love
I'm
it.
the best.
Love it, Jimmy. Love it.
Every year. And I'll give you guys a good little prop bet right now. I was just thinking of this as you were talking, Andrew, and I'd get on it because this is not a guy that we talked about with this trophy a lot through the year or in recent years, but he doesn't get enough credit. Sidney Crosby defensively has been unreal right now, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if he walks in and steals a Selke trophy. So there's a nice little prop bet for you to put on. I bet you get some good odds. I haven't looked at it, but I was just thinking about it when we were talking about the Penguins there. Maybe worth looking into.
Yeah, our friend Drew in the chat, who is, I believe, lives in the Tennessee area, is a big Nashville fan. Follows our stuff, follows my stuff a lot too as well. And he's mentioning what's wrong with the Predators. Laviolette's been there a while. Laviolette, sometimes after a few years, sometimes, like with any coach, sometimes the message, it wears on you. You hear the same voice all the time. It can wear thin on you a little bit. He wore out his welcome a bit with the Islanders years ago, with the Hurricanes after that, even though he won the Cup there, the Flyers after that. And he's been there now at Nashville a long time. I think now we're talking about a good 6 years or so. He's been with 6 or 7 with Nashville after Barry Trotz went to Washington. So, it's been a while now for Peter Laviolette there. You just got to wonder, are players starting to tune him out? Well, we're going to find out. Like maybe they're bored right now. Remember, Nashville's a team that's been in this position every year now for 6 or 7 years. Maybe they're a little bored of the regular season at this point. Like they're always up there at the end of the season. They've been in the playoffs. They've been to a cup final year after year and in the playoffs and so close to winning a cup but never have. Maybe this is just boredom to them. Like, screw the regular season. We're not going to, we're going to half-ass it because, we're sick and tired of the regular season. Our full focus is playoffs and winning a cup. Maybe they flip a switch and turn it on. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But if that's their mindset as a professional hockey player, that we're just going to mail it in the regular season because we've been there, done that all these years. We're one of the best teams in the West, and we're sick of just playing these games in February and March when our real goals are let's win in the playoffs, let's win a Stanley Cup. I don't think that's a professional way of approaching your craft, to be honest with you. I think that you've still got to put emphasis on playing well and February and March and April and these last few weeks of the regular season. I know your playoffs, because you've been so close, it all makes the regular season look secondary, like a secondary aspect to your season, when you've been in the playoffs so much and so close to a cup without actually winning one. But that's a bad approach, I think, if you're thinking that as a Nashville player. I've got concerns, I'll be honest with you, Drew, and anyone that's wondering about my thoughts on Nashville. I think there are other teams in the West I trust a lot more right now, to be honest with you, in terms of getting out of the West and being in the Stanley Cup final than Nashville. Is Pekka Rinne going to, be standing on his head again? We don't know. Pekka keeps getting older by the year. He's back to that Pekka Rinne lately, where he's given up 1 goal a game where you'd probably like to make the save on it. That's a concern come playoff time. You can't have those moments in a playoff game and a playoff series. So the defense, is a little soft. I'll be honest, a little soft, this defense. We'd rave about Yossi, Subban, Ellis, Ekholm, all the names, play a little soft in their own zone from a physical standpoint. They don't knock the man over in front of the net as much as I like to see. And then, of course, the scoring. Half the time, Nashville just can't put a puck in the net, and that's always been their issue. They hope they address that with Simmons and Granlund at the deadline, but too many times it's too much reliance on Forsberg and Arvidsson, and there's not, like Turris to me, and Andrew brought up Turris. That's a great point. Turris has been a very average player this season. He's got to turn it up come playoff time, plain and simple. Kyle Turris, he's one of your centermen. He's a veteran. You need him. He's got to be better come playoff time. So there you go. There's my thoughts on Nashville right there, but we'll see if they can correct themselves down the road. That's it. That's our show. It's been a great show. It's been a long show because we had 10 games, lots to talk about, but we will be back tomorrow, Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. A reminder, get the word out. All of you guys that are watching us now on Patreon, free open to the public edition of the Patreon Ice Guys show next Tuesday, March 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. You do not have to be a subscriber to watch that show live. We're going to have the links posted on Twitter for everybody, and I'm sure the chat will be a lot fuller for that show, without a doubt, too, as we bring it open to the public, open it up to everybody. We're looking forward to that. Gives us an opportunity to showcase what the Patreon Ice Guys era is all about to people that might be considering subscribing in the future, and a great time to showcase us as in our new platform and our new brand, because the playoffs are on the way, and there's always people that do not watch a second of regular season hockey, but they love the playoffs. They love it, and they are interested and invested in it from start to finish. Those are the people we want to attract to this show starting next month in April, toward watching it on a daily basis. So open to the public, free to everybody. Patreon NHL Ice Guys. Tell your family, tell your friends. Next Tuesday, March 19th, a free open to the public live edition of the Ice Guys at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, our normal time, when we break down the 10-game Tuesday NHL card. For Andrew, for Jimmy, and for Alex, who had to leave early, I'm Ian Cameron. Thanks for watching. We'll be back tomorrow. Absolutely, 2 p.m. Eastern for another edition of the NHL Ice Guys tomorrow. Enjoy the Thursday night games, and good luck, everybody.